So the big question is this: how do you lose all the weight that you want and actually keep it off for the rest of your life, while trying to make sense of all the noise that comes from the weight loss industry? That is the question. And this podcast will give you the answers.
G'day guys, welcome to the next episode of the Weight Loss Secrets podcast. My name is Baron Grant and I'm wrapped to be with you for another day, another tip, another trick, another something that's going to help you to be able to lose the weight and keep it off. And before I go any further, head to ditchingthediet.com where you can get all the info that you need, all the support that you need to be able to make changes in your life for good. Once and for all. No more up and down on the roller coaster that is yo-yo dieting. So head there and you can jump on, book a call with me, or just jump straight on yourself and grab a copy of my new book or one of my programs, and you can get going and start making big changes in your life right now. Doing it the right way, the healthy way, with no supplements, no pills, no potions, none of that rubbish. We don't need any of that stuff. So I want to talk today about ketosis, because ketosis is this funny word that I've had so many discussions with people about, and a lot of people I talk to are a little confused by it, and some think it's some almost mythical place that you can enter, some Nirvana-like state where all the fat will disappear. But it's not really a Nirvana-like state. It is a process, a metabolic process that happens in our bodies. And it happens in our bodies when we are lacking in an energy source. Now, this is a good process to happen if you're overweight, but when we don't have enough energy or enough glucose particularly coming into our bodies, or enough sugar coming in, our body has to search somewhere else for energy. And so it turns our fat stores, uses our fat stores and effectively turns them into ketones in our body, and our body can use that as an energy source. So that's really what is happening. Now, there's a lot of misconceptions, I think, about ketosis, and a lot of discussion about ketosis that's quite irrelevant. And this is what I want to talk a little bit about today. So all of us, if we're overweight, we have excess energy in our bodies. And that's how I really want you to think about the excess weight that you've got on your body right now. If you're 20 or 30 or 40 or 50 kilos overweight, I want you to think about that weight now as energy. We have energy that comes into our mouth, and then we have energy that is stored in our bodies, and that's fat, right? So the question I always want to ask people is, or mention to people, is how do we get your body to access that energy without hating life? Now, that's a whole nother deeper discussion on making sure you get the right food coming in. But just to talk about the process, when we don't have enough energy coming in our mouths, our body has to look somewhere else for energy. We're not going to starve to death necessarily if we've got loads of excess energy. Our body is going to start to try and use some of that energy. So I'm not saying you should go out and starve at all. That's not a healthy way to do any of this sort of stuff. I'm saying we should eat lots of food on the journey, but what we need to do is reduce the amount of sugar and carbohydrates that are coming into our body, and that allows our body to go into ketosis. It goes, crap, where's my glucose? I've got nothing to access here. All right, well, the next thing I can do is I can turn my fat stores into an energy source. So I'll turn your fat stores into ketones so that you can use those ketones as an energy source. That's what's happening in our bodies. Now, this is not to be confused with the keto diet. Now, the keto diet has some great aspects, which is another discussion for another day. But sometimes people look at ketosis and the keto diet, and they're like somehow interlinked. Yes, if you're on a keto diet, part of that is reducing carbohydrates and sugar anyway. So of course it goes in line with your body being able to get into ketosis. But let's be really frank, the only way we lose weight is when our body goes into ketosis, because that's the only time it uses our fat stores as an energy source. And it's the only way we can get it. Unless we're going to cut those suckers out, we have to use them as an energy source. So ketosis allows you to do that. Now, that, like I said, it's got nothing to do with the keto diet. There's elements of the keto diet that I love and elements that I particularly don't like at all, which is a discussion for another day. But I don't want anyone to think that to get into ketosis, you must be on the keto diet. That's not true. It's not true. So what you're trying to do is reduce carbohydrates and sugar, though, because that's going to allow your body to look somewhere else for that glucose, and so it'll end up turning your fat source into an energy source. Another point that I want to make about ketosis is this. There's a lot of things being sold that, they're kind of, I'll let you make your own decision about what they are, but you can pee on a stick or you can breathe into a special little apparatus that tells you whether you're in ketosis or not. And I remember one lady that I was working with on the program, and she'd been losing weight and doing fine. And then one day she called me and she said, "Baron, I'm not in ketosis." And I said, "Okay." And she was telling me that she peed on a stick or blew into something and that she wasn't in ketosis anymore. And we had this discussion about how your body is going to come in and out of ketosis at different times. I mean, you think about it, when you eat some sugar, when you eat a piece of fruit, your body can use that glucose and stuff. It's not going to go and start creating ketones. And so why would it do that? It doesn't need to. So you can make your own determination about whether you want to do that, but sometimes we try to measure things that aren't super important to measure. Whether we're in ketosis or not at a particular time during the day probably has no relevance, really. What is more important is that we continue to live our life in a way that our body can be in ketosis as long as possible, allowing you to use more fat as an energy source. That's what we're trying to do. Now, when you measure that at a particular point during the day, it doesn't really make an enormous amount of difference. So I wouldn't get too caught up on that type of stuff, but I'd be more focused on how do I get my body into ketosis without hating life, because that's the key, right? We don't want to be starving ourselves. We don't want to be just eating a carrot for breakfast and a grapefruit for lunch. It's not a way to eat either. You got to eat some good portions and feel full and eat great food. But I just wanted to clear that up if anyone was unsure about what ketosis is. It's a natural process that happens in our bodies when our bodies simply use our fat stores as an energy source. And when you're trying to lose weight, that is the only way that it's going to happen. The only way. So if you want to lose weight, you've got to be in ketosis. That's part of the journey. Now, it doesn't matter what program you do, what structure it is, whatever thing it is, it's all trying to get your body to use your fat stores as an energy source. It's as simple as that, really. So we need to be in that process to be able to lose weight. And that's the message for today. We'll talk soon.